So I'm going to turn on the seatbelts as a precaution while we hear a special announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, now please make sure your seatbelt is fastened, and we recommend that you continue to fasten your seatbelt for safety reasons. Your cooperation will be much appreciated.
Yeah, turn it up. Yeah, turn it up.
All right, Feet on Wheels. This is another beautiful and wonderful edition where we'll be checking the highlights on what you're supposed to do while you're driving. Maybe probably like if you park your car somewhere. This is I'm saying I just like give you a hint of what you're actually supposed to like expect from today's episode. This is still Feet on Wheels, and this is obradiofm.com, the art of sculpting without tracing. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after this very short commercial. Let's assume probably you're driving and then something happens. It could be like a braking transmission, or probably your brake had some issues. Don't worry, this is why we have this episode for you, because what we are talking about today is some do-it-yourself efficiencies and roadside repairs. Is it good what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do? And also we'll be highlighting on some points which are very important for people who have like a brake issues, or if you happen to encounter some sort of challenge and it's on the roadside, what are you supposed to do and what are you not supposed to do? Right here, this is Stupid on Wheels, and you're still tuned into, or you're still streaming, or you're still watching, or you're still listening to obradiofm.com, the act of sculpting without tracing. And the voice you're listening to, or the voice you're hearing here, is none other than the voice of Big Chief, the Mike King Kong. Now, moving forward, before I go into the diverse points that I have for you today, we'll first of all have to look at the hazards of do-it-yourself road repairs. Well, now what we're saying is we're not advising you that when your car breaks down on the road, or your automobile of any sort breaks down on the road, that you should not do it yourself. No, but first of all, you need to know the dangers of having to do it yourself. Remember that one thing we always advocate here is the patronage of professionals, yes, and also having people who are experts in specific fields at the easy reach of your fingertips. Yes, that is what we always advocate here in terms of fitness, and also we are bringing this idea also right here on Feet on Wheels. So moving forward, one of the hazards is that there might be an incoming traffic danger. Yes, so we're not saying it's going to happen, but there's a risk that there's a chance that you might get hit by probably somebody driving, or if you're not parked properly while trying to repair whatever it is that happened temporarily to your car or your automobile, there's a chance that you might get hit by someone passing, or another car, or even some traffic might have some issues. And these are some of the dangers. Another danger here is poor visibility. Yeah, so let's assume this happened in the night. So if it's in the night and probably your car light refuses to on, you see the dangers of visibility. You might not be able to see properly, and there's also like a danger that the light coming from the other automobiles, depending on what direction they'll be coming from, it's actually going to affect your eye. And also another disadvantage is lack of correct tools, like lack of proper tools. If you don't have proper tools, it is advised that you don't engage in any form of repairs on your automobile, especially if it happens on the roadside. Yes, lack of proper tools, using of improvised materials or improvised tools is not advised. This is not like the fitness world where we're telling you you can use improvised materials, this and that. Yes, you can use improvised materials for your car, but it's not advisable. That is why we are saying that it is one of the dangers. If you try to use improvised materials, if you try to use tools that are not that are not properly checked or are not supposed to be used on your vehicle, depending on what challenge that you're encountering, there's a chance that you might even falter that car more. Yes. Another one is fire hazard. Let's assume there's a fuel leak or kind of like a suspension issue, and if you're not properly checking whatever is going on, there's a possibility that your car might catch a fire. Like I said, we're not creating these scenarios that it's going to happen to anybody in particular, but also we're giving you this point so you stay safe and also know what to do when faced with such situations. Another one is electric shock and improper jack use. Yes, so if you know how to use your jack, fine, then this is not for you. And also, if you know how to go about those connections in your car or in your automobile, this is not for you. But let's assume you don't know how to. Now, there's a possibility that if you don't mount the jack properly, it might hit your hand or you might sustain some sort of injury which is unexpected. But regardless if it's unexpected or not, it will not take away the pain and it will not take away the negative effects that it's going to have on your body. And also, if you don't know anything or you have very little, zero to little knowledge about having to do those repairs or those electrical aspects of your automobile, it is very, very advised that you let it lie low, or you probably just look for a professional or an expert in the repairs of an automobile, or get a mechanic. Yes. Another one is that there might be issue of heat burns or slippery conditions. Yeah, the issue of slippery conditions is not news. It's not something that when you hear you begin to feel like, what's this? No, obviously your car or your automobile will have to be driven with the use of oil. And also, if you observe properly, there are some parts of your car that has this oily dents on them. So there's a danger that you might have oil spillage or the oil, the what's it called, the oil spills or wet road. They will increase your accident risk. So it's advisable that before touching your car or trying to do things yourself, probably if you encounter like a roadblock, you encounter something very temporary and it happens on the roadside, first you need to consider the hazards or the disadvantages of you having to do it yourself. Unless you have adapt knowledge or you have an in-depth idea about what you want to indulge in. If that is not the case, we are advising you to please let it slide, or just in particular get a mechanic or get a seasoned and professional car repairer. Yeah, another one is a poor roadside positioning, wild animal or insect bite. Yeah, so the wild animal or insect bite, we're talking about the rural areas. Let's assume this happened in the rural area. So if there's nobody around, one of the danger is that there's a chance that you might see a wild animal, or if it's at night, you might get some insect. These are not some issues which you might want to take very seriously, but whether you decide to take it seriously or you don't decide, these are facts and these are some hazards that you are likely to encounter if you don't seek the indulgence of a professional. Yes, a professional. I always talk about a professional or an expert, that it should be always one call away. But if you don't have a professional or you know some professionals and the place you are is quite very far, or the distance is it's not so close to whoever it is that you want to phone, and you have the appropriate tools, you know how to use these tools, you're well versed in using of all these mechanical parts, and you also understand how to go about those electricals on your car. So well, then to save yourself, make sure you do it properly and make sure that you're using your gloves or you're always wearing the required tools or the required garments for you to embark on any of all this. Also, there's a chance for, or there is a possibility that there will be fuel exposure, and you know how dangerous this can be because you can never can tell if it's the fuel tap or if it's some burner or if it's some part of the car that is linked to the fuel, and you're trying to do something that you're not so learned at. You know the disadvantage of that, it might cause fuel leakage, and you know anything that involves fuel or PMS or crude is something that is hazardous because the little touch of fire, the little linking with flame, boom, that you know what we're going to see an explosion, and that's not going to be any of use portion because you are listening to this and you are aware of these dangers. So the reason you are aware of this is because it enables you to know how to position yourself, you know how to coordinate these things so it doesn't happen again. Okay, another one is anxiety and inexperienced handling. Yes, so like I said, if you're a professional, you know how to go about those car repairs, those basic car repairs, then that's fine. You can do it. But if you're not, it's advisable you just let it go. You let it slide. Because if you try to use your inexperience and try to touch that car, regardless if it was just a small fault, if you drive just a very short distance, there's a possibility that it's going to break down or the problem is going to it's going to worsen. And when it worsens, it means that the damage, what you just did, was of no use. So it's always advisable that if you're not experienced, make sure to get the appropriate lesson on how to go about those basic car repairs. What are the basic car repairs I'm talking about? I'm talking about the do-it-yourself, like using of the jack, changing your car tires, touching of some basic little things that doesn't require so much need of a professional. But in all of this, it is also always advised that you know you have this knowledge, you don't have this knowledge. As long as you're not a mechanic, as long as it's not your field, you always have to go back to the mechanic. You always have to meet a professional whose field is basically cars, whose field is basically automobiles. That's always the best option. Another one is insurance void and battery exposure. You know, some of these cars, if you get them brand new, they come with insurance. And now there's a way you're going to touch this car, you're trying to repair it by yourself, you're trying to do this and that. You know, there are some things you're going to touch and it's going to alter the insurance that is on your car. Yes, I did. I'm not the one who made this law because there are some insurance and policies that don't permit certain damages on your car, and then you might not even know how you did that, but you know it has happened. So you don't know, there's no other thing that you're going to do. So what always advice is, if you know your car is on insurance and you know that there's probably like a fault or something, wait for a seasoned professional to come. If there's a hotel nearby or something or somewhere you can just lay low for a while, stay there, and probably after you get a professional to do the thing or fix it for you, then you can just get going. It's as simple as that. So as to avoid the stories of, oh, if I had known, or oh, I would have done this or I would have done that. You know, at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to lose. Yes, you're the one who's going to lose because let's assume you don't know how to handle the jack properly and you've mounted it wrongly, it hits your hand, you're the one who's going to feel the pain. Let's assume you still put the jack wrongly, you put it in a position that is not very proper, and it hits your car or it kind of stores something in your car that you say now the problem has increased. So it's always advised that if you want to be doing it yourself, make sure you have the right and appropriate knowledge first. Or if you don't have the right and appropriate knowledge, make sure you have a professional or an expert who you can always call, who is always one call away. Make sure you have these professionals handy so that whenever any of this happens, you can always put a call. But let's assume now you're on a far distance and most of your professionals are not around good and you have those knowledge, you can just do the little one you know and make sure to drive to a safe location or you drive to a place where you can get a professional to properly check and diagnose what is going on exactly with your car. That's how you get a proper solution without any of all these hazards. Okay, now details. We're going to talk about the details about engaging in roadside repairs. Yes. So when you're faced with car trouble, what are the first things you have to do? The first thing is safety. Yes, safety. First of all, you have to pull to a safe spot away from traffic if possible. Remember that one of the hazards that we discussed is that there is a danger of traffic or a danger of you being hit by another vehicle if not parked properly. So the first thing, if you have like a roadside issue with your car or something, first thing is safety. Make sure to push it to the side of the road or push it to a safe spot where there's no chance that it's going to be hit by a car, there's no chance that it's going to probably like be stolen, or there's no chance that there will be a form of difficulty that you cannot you cannot conquer. So the first thing is pull it to a safe spot away from traffic if possible. Also, for visibility sake, put on your hazard light. Yeah, it's very, very important. So people or the other drivers can be aware that, oh, something is going on right here. Like this, or you can put the hazard sign. Either one works. If you put the hazard sign, there's something that happened some weeks back. I was coming back from somewhere and I saw this car, very beautiful car. It was parked by the roadside, and then there was this kind of like a sign, that was like a triangle sign. Was just put at the back and put at the front of it. Definitely, without a second thought, I just knew that, oh, something must be wrong with this car. So the owner just had to put that sign so that somebody, or whoever is passing, you're a pedestrian, you're a driver, or whoever you are, you're supposed to understand that, oh, something is going wrong here. So I don't have to hit this car, or I don't have to indulge with this, so that it doesn't become your fault. So make sure you always have your hazard lights on, and you can always make sure to put the appropriate sign to notify the passerby, pedestrians, or your fellow drivers that, oh, see what's happening here, please don't go to this direction. Once you follow all these rules and you make sure you put all these things properly, if anybody hits your car or does anything wrong to your car, now it's now their fault. Now they are the ones who are at fault, and they are the ones who are going to face the wrath of the law. Or you can also decide to retaliate, because at this point you're not at fault. Another one is know your limit. This one is very, very important. Don't start forming a professional mechanic when what you just know is how to change your tire. Don't start forming that you know how to fix everything. You're trying to tie a knot when you know that aside from tying this knot, there's no other thing that you can do with this car. Know your limit. Know the highest you can do to a car that you're trying to basically repair. If it's just to change your tire, good. And it's also advised that you don't have, if you're not a mechanic and it's not your specialty, you're not an expert in automobiles, please just be very vast in having or making sure that the basic things are proper. Don't try to be a mechanic when you're not a mechanic. As a passenger or as a driver, it is very important that you know the basic things to do, probably like changing of the tire, changing of the oil, or checking your coolant levels, and some of the basic things. If you're trying to be a mechanic, you're trying to be an automobile expert, when you know deep down that you're not, at the end of the day, you are the one who's also going to bear the consequences. So in all of this, it is very, very knowledgeable, and it's very, very advised, and it's also for your own advantage and for your own good to know your limit, know how far you understand, and know how far you can go with car repairs, automobile repairs, so that you don't start when it happens on the roadside, you try to do something that you know within yourself that you're not good at or you're not an expert. It's going to cause more hazard and more bad than good. Having said all this, I still have so many other things in store for you on this particular episode. It is packed with so many fantastic goodies and so many sections. Like, for example, we're still going to be going further on the do-it-yourself procedures and how you can actually perfect it. And also, we're also discussing about more details on how you can engage in roadside repairs. I just said two, right? Yeah, more than two, but don't worry. I'm just keeping you standing for a while. I'll be right back after this very short commercial. so welcome right back. So we have to just go ahead with the whole thing. So the moving forward, I've talked about knowing your limits. Yes, that is very, very important because when you know your limits, you're not going to overdo and you're not going to overstress over something that you know that this is not my field. Okay, aside from knowing your limits, it's also important that you stay calm. Yeah, maybe your car has broken down unexpectedly, you start panicking and having those sorts of anxiety and not being well coordinated is not going to be of any good. It's going to have more disastrous and disadvantages than advantages. Yes, so it's advised that you stay calm while you're still looking for help, while you're still thinking on how to sort out the issue, or while you're still contemplating if you're going to engage in this or not. It is more important that you stay calm and you observe the situation first before, because while you're calm and your mind is at rest, or at least your mind is at a state where you'll be able to make more and more effective and very, very important decisions, it is very, very important that you don't panic. Yeah, I know you didn't see it coming. I know it just happened unexpectedly, but just stay calm and don't panic, because when you don't panic, more good ideas and more solutions are easily going to come in handy. Another one, talking about staying calm and not panicking, it is also advised that you call for help. Yes, if it's still like there are other people around or it's in a busy area, make sure to call for help. And let's assume it's not in a busy area. There's also some way with the help of God by your side, or at least hopefully some other cars are going to pass by or something. Or you can, if you have your phone and there's network or something, you can reach out to people or call for help. Look for a way to get somebody to get you out of that position, because at the end of the day, if you're not careful and if you don't make the right decision, it's going to be very disastrous, and it's not something that is very, very favorable, especially for your car. Yes, so now we've talked about the disasters or the hazards of doing it yourself, and we've also talked about details about engaging in roadside repairs. We talked about the details, we told you about the hazards. Now, how do you now properly do it so it doesn't become a problem? That's what we're going to be discussing about now. You know, yeah, there are always a pro and a con to everything in life, but then now we're talking about the pro now, the pros about it now. How do you properly do this thing so that it doesn't end in a disastrous way or having a much disadvantage on your end? The first thing is making sure that you're well equipped and you have the right tools. Yes, you always have the right tools handy. What are the right tools I'm talking about? I'm not saying go and become a mechanic. I'm not saying go and learn how to repair cars generally. No, I'm saying having the basic tools, that your toolbox should always be there handy, and make sure to always have a spare. If it's one, probably prefer two, but one is also very okay. But make sure that once you've changed it, make sure to always have another one. There should always be a spare tire at your disposal. Yes, and also make sure that whoever it is, or your mechanic, or whoever expert that you trust, make sure that the person's number or the person's contact reach is always handy, just in case of any of these situations happen. Another one now is now this one I'm going to talk about now is me giving you a step-by-step guide on how to properly do it yourself. Yeah, this one is a promise. That's why when I started this show, this particular edition, I was very, very excited. Or I am very, very excited. You can see from the way I'm sounding and the smile on my face, you can understand that, oh, this topic is different. Yeah, it comes with a different vibe and it comes with a different feeling. So the first thing you have to do is that you park on a flat ground. Yeah, maybe it happened on a bumpy area. Make sure to park on the flat ground. That's the first thing. Then you apply your handbrake. Once you parked on the flat ground, apply your handbrake. Why are you applying your handbrake? So you're sure that your car doesn't move unknowingly. Yeah, so on the second one, you switch on your hazard light. So once you've parked on the flat ground and you've applied your brake, your handbrake more preferable, you switch on your hazard light and you place that warning triangle. Remember the story I told you before I went on that short commercial? I said while I was coming back from somewhere, I saw a very beautiful car that was parked by the roadside, and beside it, or in front of it, at the back of it, there was some sort of a sign, like a triangle sign. Yeah, so that warning triangle is indicating to everybody, pedestrians, car owners, or passerbys, that, oh, look, something is going on here with this car. Please don't touch it. This is a danger zone. Don't come here. Avoid it for now until we get this fixed up. Anybody who is in the right sense, even if you're not on the right sense, that you go and touch that car while those are signs that there, you are now the one who is at fault. Yes, I said it correctly. That's why we're saying that the first thing is always make proper research. We're not saying be an expert, or we're not saying that go and become a mechanic. No, but make sure that you're versed in basic car repairs, and also you have the appropriate tools for a driver or somebody who owns an automobile. Your toolbox should always be handy, and also your spare. Yeah, spare is very, very important. Another one is wear reflective gear if available. So if you have a reflective gear, wear it. You understand? Wear it for the fact that so you don't have injuries. It's going to also help you so you don't say have probably like cancer, more like a bruise or something. So whatever you're doing and you don't have those oil running all over your hand, it's going to make it not look so tidy, and that's not very, very nice. Another one is use the right tools for each repair. I've talked about it times with a number that it's very important that you know the right tools, because if you use the wrong tools on a different part, instead of it serving as a solution, is actually going to worsen the problem. Now let's assume you kind of figured out a way to get this car going for at least a short while. I'm telling you for a fact that if you don't do it properly and this car runs for a short while, that car is going to stop midway, or at least to an extent or at a point, and then that problem is going to worsen. Yes, so at least first, always make sure you have your basic tools handy and you have the basic knowledge on your car, and also how to make those small repairs. Another one is never crawl under the car unless it is properly lifted and supported. That's why I've been advocating, I've been saying, I've been shouting here, you're not a mechanic. We're not saying go and become a mechanic. We're not saying go and learn how to repair automobiles. If you're passionate about it, or maybe you want to go into that line, there's nothing wrong about it. It's absolutely okay. But if you know that you're a driver, or you just want to be a driver, or somebody who owns some sort of automobile, we're just advising you, for the sake of all these unexpected roadside issues, just have the basic knowledge on how to repair your car for the little touches before an expert comes. Also, it's also proper and advised that you have your basic tools with you, always complete, and you have your spare. Yeah, very, very, very important. And we'll talk about the fact that you should never crawl under the car. You're not a mechanic. Don't crawl under the car unless you're an expert. But if you must crawl under the car to check whatever is happening, make sure your jack is properly placed and you've properly lifted the car. But it's advised that if you're not a professional, don't crawl under your automobile for any reason whatsoever. Yeah. Another one is let the engine cool before opening the hood or the bonnet. The stuff just happened, and all of a sudden you're just running to the bonnet, you want to pull it off, you have to let it cool. Now, talking about letting it cool, this is where staying calm comes to play, because if you're not calm, if you're panicking, that's when you're not going to actually want to let the bonnet cool down before opening it. So once you're panicking, or you're having that anxiety and you're not calm, it's going to make you to have, or actually make some unimportant decisions, or the disadvantageous decisions that are actually going to cause more disaster instead of good to the situation or whatever happened to your automobile. Another one is disconnect the battery if you're dealing with wiring. Now, you don't know how to do this wiring. So let's assume you just have a little idea. You're not a mechanic, that's not your field. The first thing you should do is disconnect the wire. Why? Remember, when we're talking about the hazards and the dangers of doing it yourself, we talked about the possibility of having an electric shock. You get it? So once that battery has been pulled out, it means now that you can now try whatever it is. But like I have always been telling you, like we've been advocating, we've been talking about here, make sure that you have the adequate knowledge first before you try to practice or indulge in it. It's not a toy car. It's not something that you press this one, you fix this one, and all of a sudden it's going to get going. So make sure you have that knowledge, and make sure that you have experts and professionals. Their contacts, it should always be handy. Yes, and another one is make sure to always seek for help when all of this, whenever this happens, because most times it happens unexpectedly, learn to stay calm. Yeah, because once you're calm, I assure you, you're definitely going to have the appropriate solution to make sure that stuff never repeats itself. Okay, good. Now, this also comes down to what I have been saying all of this time. Replace only the parts that you understand. Whatever it is that you don't have an idea or appropriate knowledge about, please don't try to touch it. Don't try to experiment. No, that is not the time for you to be experimenting anything. That's not the time for you to try to put the wire in the battery, or from the battery you want to check if this one is going to work. No, beforehand it's always advised to have that knowledge handy first. But if you don't have it handy, and you just the one you know, do the one you know first. Yes, don't try to change something that you don't understand. You've lifted the car, you've put the jack, and now you're trying to, maybe because you know that when people have those issues, they always go under their car. Good. You don't know what you're going to do under that car. You have no idea. Don't go under the car. But if you have an idea and you know what you're supposed to do, then you can go. But in all of this, it is advised that you always seek the help of a professional or an expert. Another one is if unsafe, wait for professional help instead of forcing a repair. That's what I have been saying here. Always seek the help of a professional. At the end of the day, that's how you're actually going to come through with this. Yes, because the professional, he's the one who knows what's wrong with your car. He's the one who's going to be able to diagnose the problem and give you the right solution. Yes. So now we have some questions here. So somebody said, should I always attempt a roadside repair myself? No, you're not advised to attempt a roadside repair yourself. Like I have been saying, unless if the situation at hand warrants it to be done by you, but it's always advised that you either call for help or you seek the indulgence of a professional or an expert. Yeah, that is what is most preferred. Unless it's something like just jump starting or topping up the coolant or just changing your tire, those little ones. But if you still don't even have an idea about those little fixes, it's advised that you please seek the help of a professional. Yes, seek the help of an expert. And also another tip that we're going to give you is that if you know that you're not very vast, at least with the basic knowledge of those little repairs, please don't go very far distances yet. Probably you're a learner, you're still trying to learn how to drive, you're still trying to get conversant with the whole parts of the car or how to go about automobiles. It is advised that you don't go long distances yet, just for the sake of your own safety. So in case of all these unexpected occurrences happen, you're sure that, oh, you're in a busy area, you're in a lively area, you're not in a rural area, you're in an urban community, or you're in a city, you're in a place that is there's always movement, or whatever it is that happens, there's always a way that you always be able to seek help. But before you're deciding to embark on a long journey, you're deciding to go for probably like a night journey or something like that, please make sure that you are well versed with how your automobile repairs, the basic ones, and also have your spare and always have your appropriate tools. Yes, you might even know how to fix it, but don't forget your tools, because if you know how to fix it and you don't have your tools complete, or you put the wrong tool in the wrong part, you're even causing more havoc than a solution. All right, I still have so many other things, like so many persons are sending me some questions, and I'm seeing so many DMs here, but I'm going to respond to this after I come back from this very short commercial. Stay with me, don't go nowhere. Welcome right back. This is still Feet on Wheels, and you're still right here on obradiofm.com, the actors captain without tracing, and this is the voice of Vichy. So moving forward or moving ahead, I have one very interesting question here. Somebody asked that I'm going to read it. He said, "Is it? Are you advising that we use a torchlight when this happens at night?" Now, remember I said something that while I was coming back one evening, I saw some car, and you know how I was able to understand that something was going on there. I saw that triangle. That triangle is called a reflective triangle. The reason why you should always have that handy is because it helps or you notify other drivers and other passerbys that, oh, something is happening here. You can have a torch, but how long is your torch going to last? But if you just have that your reflective triangle, that's why it's called a reflective triangle. Whoever it is that is driving through the opposite direction and it's coming, there's no how they're not going to see and be notified that, oh, something is happening here. This guy just had a little issue, he's having some sort of issue here. And that is why it is advised that you have those signs, and those signs are also going to help you, and they are also going to serve as a safety measure. Can I pour water into an overheated radiator? I've talked about this. You have to wait until your engine cools down. We've also said that before you open the hood, before you open the bonnet, it is always advised that what you allow the engine calm down. And now, one factor that is very, very important that is going to help you to even be able to allow this engine calm down is or cool down is when you're calm yourself. No, I know this happened unexpectedly. You didn't see that coming. It just boom. What's advisable every time is stay calm, because when you're calm, there's a high possibility or high probability that you always make the right decision. So now another one is can I fix a fuel leak myself? Personally, I'm going to say that it is a fire hazard. You know, we talked about one of the hazards or the dangers of fixing this roadside repairs yourself, or having to fix these things yourself if it happens unexpectedly. We talked about some possibility of some fire hazards that could come from the leakage of fuel. So if you see a leakage of fuel, if you can do it, like I always say, if you can do it, apply a whole lot of precautionary measures. But if you can't, it is most advised that you call for the help of a professional. In fact, overall, if somebody who is not an expert, who is not a mechanic or an automobile person, should not even tamper with anything related to fuel leak for the sake of your own safety. Now, as I talked about this using reflective triangle, somebody was like, and we talked about the benefits of visibility. Somebody is asking that how why is visibility important during roadside repairs? I've talked about this time, less times, or time without number, that it helps alert other people that something is going on here. That's why we're saying make sure you have your reflective triangle handy. It's reflective. There's no light in it, but the fact that it is reflective, if you can always see it even in darkness. Yeah, I've seen it firsthand, and also there are different types of it. There are some ones that even glow. Yeah, I've seen the one that glows without even there's the one that has this lemon color. There's the basic one, which is the red, and there's this one also that it's called when I remember that, probably on our next episode, I'll definitely bring this up. Yeah. So the reason we're always emphasizing on visibility is because you're trying to alert other drivers that see what is happening here. And why are you alerting all these people? For the sake of you avoiding an accident, or for the sake of you over escalating the problem, or over escalating the situation more than the way it already is. This question is this okay. Someone is saying that you've talked about this warning triangle a lot. Please, how should the warning triangle be placed at least 40 to 60 meters away from your car, behind your car rather? So 40 to 50 meters behind your car. You can still put it in front too, but it's advised that you put it behind your car. For safety reasons, for overall safety, put it in the front and put it in the back. So somebody who's coming from the other direction sees, and if somebody is coming also from the opposite direction, which is the back, they are also going to be notified and see that, oh, something is going on here with this car. Now they can even decide to help you, and also that can also serve as a standpoint for you to seek for professional help. Yes. Now, now, you know why I'm particular about this one, because I talked about it. We talked about insurance. That's one reason why we're telling people to always seek the what's it called? Seek for the help of professionals especially if your car has insurance. Because if you're doing this thing yourself, you're trying to repair it by yourself, yeah, I am assuring you that some insurance, if there are certain things you're going to touch on professionally, is going to void your insurance cover. Yeah, that's one of the major reasons why we're always telling you that always seek for the help of professionals, because especially that's your insurance cover. If you do nonsense, if you do something that is not appropriate and it damages parts of the car that could actually aid the voiding of that your insurance cover, that means everything has gone to waste and it's all at your own disadvantage. So, and in all of this, make sure to seek the help of a professional. But if you must partake in this or indulge in this, make sure to also be well educated and versed in the repairs of basic things. We're not saying go and become a mechanic, but make sure to have that appropriate knowledge. And while having that knowledge, make sure to have your tools handy. Oh, I got so many messages. Like somebody said here, I agree. Overheating is a no joke. I even burned my hand once. You can hear this from this person directly that the issue of overheating, he even had to burn. He burned his hand unexpectedly while trying to open the burner without allowing the heat or the whole thing, the bonnet rather, without allowing it to cool down. That's why we're advocating that if you must, or if you encounter something like this, first off, stay calm, and secondly, make sure to have your tools correct, handy, and thirdly, always have those signs with you. And at the end of the day, seek for professional help. Yes, seek for professional help, because it's going to help you well. And also, for the sake of your insurance, don't use wrong tools to fix wrong parts, because it's going to void your insurance cover and it's going to be at a disadvantage to you in the long run. All right, this is where we're calling it a short right here, because the people who are pressing, not the person who is pressing the right button, has just notified me that my time is I would have loved to keep going on and on and on, because I am so in love with this particular episode or this particular edition of Fit on Wheels. But what can I say? What can I do? But don't worry, we're going to see on the next episode where we're going to be dissecting. We're talking about some dangers on how you can also go about your car fixes, and we're also going to give you some more highlights and insights on how to make sure that you're fit while you're driving. Talking about fitness, don't forget, I'm never going to forget the Operation Keep Nigeria Fit and the Shape Up Nigeria 30-30 Fitness Challenge. What is this? I've been talking about this for a while. The 30-30 Fitness Challenge. It runs from 1st October down to 30th October, 30 minutes of exercise every day. The Operation Keep Nigeria Fit happens every last Saturday of the month. The inauguration will be happening on the 27th of September, which also happens to be the last Saturday in September. So please do well to partake, because if you don't, the sheriffs will be taking you to the house of no mercy. And I say it very well because I don't like taking people to that place, but it's for your own benefit, because in the house of no mercy, there's no bail. Yes, to be a part of this event, to be a part of this campaign, and also if you're a vendor, you wish to exhibit your product, whichever thing you're selling, I don't care. We don't discriminate. Bring it. We're going to usher you. We always have a place for whatever it is that you're willing to market. How do you reach us? Send an email to obradiofm.uk@gmail.com, or kindly call or kindly send a WhatsApp message to +234 814 371 4093. And until I see you next time, I am Big Chief, and this is a Fit on Wheels, and you're still right here on obradiofm.com, the act of sculpting without tracing. Until I see you on our next episode, goodbye.